Alright, this is going to be another video by Miniature Master going over getting back into the hobby and just kind of looking at what Games Workshop is doing for somebody who's newer to the hobby and also somebody like me that's getting back into it. So here is just the homepage of Games Workshop that everybody's familiar with, has all of that. So I'm used to playing Space Marines and High Elves and Fantasy or Tomb Kings. So naturally, I want to get back in with the Space Marines. The Codex alone is $58 on Games Workshop's website. $58 to play one single army. This doesn't even include the rulebook necessary with it as well. So, as much as I really want to play Space Marines and either play Imperial Fists or White Scars with it, it's really hard to justify dropping $60 on a book that doesn't even give me all the rules to play. So, I'm just looking at this one and I'm confused at why are you making it so difficult to get into the hobby? I remember when the time that these codexes were like $30. So it was fun to start another army. Look at the models that you could get. You weren't signing up for just one single force. And I'm going to buy more models when I can just put down whatever I want. So to me, to see that the price has risen so dramatically in the time that I've been gone is just really sad. So you're looking at least $58 for a codex. And then to get a rule book, there's the big rule book that's about 85, but for those of you that don't know, you get a smaller rule book in the starter set. So at least to me, the starter set's always been the best way to get into the hobby because it has everything that you need together in one thing. You get the models. You're getting a full tactical squad, Terminators, cultists, chosen, and you can really work these guys into pretty much whatever army you want with um, a little bit of conversion. You can easily have a playable army of either entirely Chaos Space Marines, which is the easiest thing to do given this set. I mean, you're looking at probably 3 troop choices and about three elite choices and a fast attack, as well as heroes that you can pick from and kit out. So you got a really good size playable army in one box. That you also get the rules in, because the rules are one of the biggest barriers for getting into the game. Because you're looking at, if you want to play, say you just want to play Space Marines and you're going to convert them into whatever to play your chapter from Codex Space Marines, you're looking at $170 just to have unpainted gray snap figures and the rules to use them. That's it. That's all $170 gets you. The only benefit to doing it this way is that you do get the army. If you just go out and buy the big rule book, it's going to be way cooler than the small one. But you're not going to be able to, you're going to spend a fortune on it, where at least this way you're getting models to put to it and to field an army. And really, and if you have a friend, it's an easy way to get a small game together. However, I do have one really big flip side that is kind of been a contention since I've been gone, and I just think that's interesting. I've played one game of Age of Sigmar. I love the rules of Age of Sigmar. It played phenomenally, and these miniatures look excellent. Now, as opposed to 40K, where I need to drop $170 to have a playable army, you come to Age of Sigmar and $125, that's it. That's it. You have two playable armies. You can mm, hypothetically you could play them together. There's nothing in the rules preventing you from doing that. And if you're newer to the game, there's probably some people that'll let you, especially so that you could get more familiar with it and get out there and play a full game. Sorry. And that's just really awesome because it's a fraction of what the cost is of getting into 40K. And this is assuming that you're starting out with no models. If you have no models, $130 gets you everything you need to play, which is a great deal. And to be honest, I'm going the Age of Sigmar route to get back into the hobby because the price difference is just so large. Because you can spend 130 here and fill out a really good size and fun force, and you don't have to add so many models to it. You can really pick and choose what you want to add into it. And then my second point, that is another um, good deal from Games Workshop, which they don't have many of, is the paint sets. Like this particular one, the build and paint, you get everything. You get plastic glue, you get the clippers and a brush and a bunch of paints. A bunch of these paints just right there. The only thing I think that I saw this one doesn't include is a primer. But you can pick up a little pot of paint on primer for like $3-4, or you could spend the money and buy spray primer if you're getting more models. So that's not really a big barrier for you getting into Age of Sigmar. And then there's also what I think is going to be my first purchase getting back in is going to be the Stormcast Eternals paint set. You get 3 models to work on. You get 6 paints, 5 paints, you get a primer, and I believe you get a wash, maybe. I need to double check what you actually get in here. But look, you're getting 3 models, the paints, the brush, you're getting it all together. So it's a really good way to just start looking and getting into the hobby. You pick this up in the starter set for around 150, which is dramatically less than the entrance into 40K, and you have a fully playable army with extra men. Whereas in 40K, I didn't even get to the paints yet, because you're going to spend like 170 just on the rules to just put down bare models. That just sucks. I don't understand where Games Workshop is coming from with this. Age of Sigmar is the best way to get into this hobby that probably has ever existed. You can start off small, you can build up your forces, you can have fun, you can play different rules. I do disagree with there not being any point cost, and I know that Games Workshop is bringing out a fix to that. They're bringing out a point cost this summer, which is going to be really important in, I think, allowing people to have balanced armies. Because if we go back to look at the starter set, you have 20 of the Marauders. 20 Marauders is pretty good. They're weak, but they're going to be pretty decent. However, they have 20 wounds. So you might be saying, okay, maybe balancing by wounds is pretty good too. However, you come over here, these guys have 2 wounds each. And these guys have more attacks, they got better save, they got the shields. Like, these guys are pretty damn hard to kill. So they're not exactly equal. And if you're just saying that you can put down one of these guys for every 2 Marauders I put down, well, that might sound fine, but what happens when you look at an army of Skaven or goblins and you put down, I mean, you could put down hundreds of miniatures and you could put down these guys and they're going to tear right through them because these guys are just, overall, they're a better unit. So I think that's definitely going to help out balancing it. But I guess overall, going into the hobby through Age of Sigmar is probably the best way to go. You get a ton of models if you get the starter set. If you're getting back into the hobby and you have any fantasy, you don't need to spend anything. The rules are free online. Got just over here, kind of a snippet of it, and they're just free on Games Workshop's website. Like, it has everything that you need to know here. So I don't need to even spend anything to walk in and get a game going right now. So the big thing is just starting out small, which in 40K is really difficult to do. I mean, the starter set's great, but if you want to play anything extra than what is specifically in this box, it's going to cost you another $60 just to be able to know the rules of those models, let alone purchasing any of them. And everybody knows Space Marines and models just in general are expensive. So I think that anybody who's newer to the hobby, like me, again, should definitely be going with Age of Sigmar. It's sad to see what they did to fantasy, but great, great new rules, tight gameplay, forces you to actually think a little bit more about what you want to do. You're not able to just kind of, you can't table somebody in like the first turn or two. Like, you are going to have to plan and use terrain, which is something in fantasy that few people were doing, um, for any of the games that I was in or saw, because it was just another obstacle that you had to maneuver around. Where in here, terrain makes sense. It's fun. It adds a whole nother element to the game that was really lacking in fantasy. And just one other thing, these models that Games Workshop has put out for this are absolutely stunning. Like, these things are beautiful. I have no idea how anybody could argue with that. They are gorgeous. Look at the detail here, down to the base that it's on. I know, most of it's basing that they do, but not all of it is. And then you have like this guy who, this just looks so corn and so just exactly how corn this guy would look, and it just looks great. Look at the attention to detail with the symbol here, it going across his gut, the end of the whip. Like, these are probably some of the best miniatures that I have seen Games Workshop put out. And also on these guys and these are great for any 40K players too. Great substitute for like assault marines with a thunder hammer. Like, they just look beautiful. Or power axe, could, not much conversion to get that to look a little bit more axey, but that's great. Shields, good for Deathwing. And look at these guys. These are gorgeous if you wanted to play 40K and have um, Assault Marines or Sanguinian Guard. Like, these models are just awesome. And that's another great thing with this starter set, is that if you get it, you have a good solid base to move into 40K from. Because you can't play it because you don't have the troop choices, but you have pretty close to a full army of Terminators. Could even, if you paint them up, convert them a little bit, could even probably get a game in with somebody using them as Grey Knights, where there's a lot of Terminators, not a lot of model count. I mean, you don't have the shooting, and that would be pretty difficult, but it's a good way to get started small and move into these really big games that everybody's known for, and the games that everybody wants to play. These long lists, these great epic armies, this backstory. Like, it really stems from starting off small and starting off with something that makes sense. And Age of Sigmar right now is the best way to get into this hobby and keep your wallet with some money in it, which is rare for Games Workshop.